Welcome to my pleasant school guide. So just quickly before I get into it, the reason I'm calling it a guide and a review is because I want people to use this to decide whether to watch or not to watch the anime that we're going to be talking about. Just quickly, you'll see 7 points on the screen. These 7 points will be discussed in every video that I do from now and onwards. So now that's out the way, let's get on with this shit.
It's only just begun. This is where tomorrow brings a new game. It's time to learn the pain. It's game. Ready, fire!
So here we go. Let's just run over some quick stuff that you need to know. It's a 12 episode comedy, ecchi, romance, school seinen anime. A lot of people might get put off by hearing the words ecchi, romance, school and seinen, but don't get put off by this. Purely focus on the comedy aspect because that's what this anime is all about. It was created by Akira Hiramoto, and I can't actually find a picture for this guy anywhere. He's a mystery, a blip off the map. But this is by far one of his biggest and best works that he's done yet. Prison School aired in summer 2015 from July the 11th to September the 26th. There's been a lot of news and rumours regarding season 2. It was set to fall at the end of 2016, but as you can see it is not out yet, but I wouldn't be worried by this. There is definitely going to be a season 2 just from the way the anime ended alone and just from the massive amount of hype surrounding it. It's produced by a shitload of people, one of them being Genko and also Warner Brothers, and its licensed at is Funimation Entertainment. This anime has got a rating R+ for mild nudity. Mild being a fucking understatement, as there's tits and ass everywhere, so it is definitely not mild, it's fucking extreme, but we roll with that shit. The manga is still currently ongoing, and just quickly I'm going to throw up on screen the manga sales from 2015 and 2016. In 2015, when the anime dropped, and you always expect a rise in the manga sales when anime comes out, so it finished in 9th place with 4 million sales. For a one-shot 12 episode anime, this is really good and coming in the top 10 of manga sales for the year. You can't ask for no better than that. In 2016, obviously after the anime has been out a year, it's finished 16th with nearly 2.5 million sales. So it was still doing well a year after the anime had finished. I'd expect to see even more sales when season 2 airs, just because now it has a fan base and a massive amount of hype around it, and I'd expect it to be in the top 10 again. So, now let's get into the synopsis. Hachimitsu is a private academy and is a prestigious all-girls boarding school. However, this year, boys are now able to enroll for the school as well. Only 5 boys have been accepted into the school, which means there's a girl to boy ratio of 200 to 1. Imagine the pussy you could get. The eager boys set their sights on a far more dangerous task, peeping into the girls' bathroom. Their plan fails as the dark, menacing student underground all-girl council put a stop to it and throw their asses into fucking jail. For a whole damn month. Now we follow the boys to see if their asses can last in jail long enough to rejoin the school. Trust me people, this anime is fucking hilarious. The boys are then put through harsh labours and even crueler punishments, and they catch a beating, as their friendship and perverted brotherhood are put to the test. Now let's move on to discussing the characters, and because there's so many that I want to talk about, I'm just going to be quick and brief over all of them. And forgive me if I get their names wrong. I'm not fucking fluent in Japanese, so forgive me on that one. So firstly, we have the main character, Kiyoshi Fujino. He's the main protagonist to the show. He's the glue that sticks the boys together and is the only one with chance of getting some pussy. Because he seems to be the only one who stands a chance with any of the girls, he's definitely less perverted than the others, and often at times encourages them not to be perverted, but at the end of the day he still is a pervert. He's definitely the leader of the group, the boys band around him, and he's like the super glue that holds them all together. We see a lot of the story through his eyes, as a lot of the actions and missions or whatever you want to call them in the show involve him, as he's the one that has the biggest goal of them all. You always constantly ask yourself, man, what would I do if I was in his shoes? How would I react to this situation? No complaints on this character, he's a solid, decent main character. Next we have Takehito Morokuzu, and he's the Guan Yu Dynasty Warriors Free Kingdom loving badass. He's definitely the mastermind in the group, and he's definitely the smartest of the 5. He puts his friends and the mission objectives in front of anything else, and he embarrasses himself constantly just for the greater good of his friendship. He's the biggest team player, and he values his friendship more than anything else, and he values the honour and loyalty that you should have with all of your friends. He makes constant Dynasty Warriors and Guan Yu references. If you don't know what that is, it's an Xbox and PlayStation game about factions at war, and it's a really good game actually. He values his Dynasty Warriors characters so much that he's willing to do anything for them, and even looks up to them as like his godly role models and abides by their honour and code, and he uses that to survive in prison. This character is fucking hilarious. His Liu Bei and his Dynasty Warriors references had me in stitches. Some of the plans he comes up with are outrageous. Some of the sacrifices he makes, you're like, no, don't do it. But he does it for the greater good of his team. And man, I love this character so much. Definitely one of the funniest for me in the show. So the third member of the 5 boys is Joji Nizu. Forgive me for pronouncing that wrong. He's the silent one of the group. He always had his hood up and hides in the shadows. For some reason he's got a strange fantasy, interest, sort of love thing going on with his insects and ants. I don't know why, but my man just loves up his ants. Like all the boys, he adds a comedic value to the group in his own way. You don't get much dialogue out of him because he's the silent one of the group. He coughs up blood and coughs like a dying patient every time he opens his mouth to talk. There's no explanation for this, but it's just an ongoing gag, I guess. So short and sweet with this character, but like I said, every character fits its place, and just because it's short and sweet doesn't mean he's worse than the other characters. Fourth member of the boys group is Reiji Andu. Now just by looking at his picture you can tell he's drawn like a fucking weirdo. I don't know why he's drawn like this, but it's something we have to roll with and accept. It doesn't take away anything from his character because he looks like this. He's got a big ass head for no apparent reason. He's by far, and I mean by far, the most perverted motherfucker in this group. By far. The guy loves a fucking ass whipping from the girls, and he can't get enough of his torture and the girls' titties. Some of his scenes are fucking hilarious where he's just begging for the pervert instinct in him just to be released. But that's all that needs to be said about this motherfucker. He's one perverted, fucking horny ass bastard. So the final member of the boys, we have Shingo Wakamoto. With a group of 5 boys, there's always going to be tension in the group. He's the character that sorts to bring the tension into the group. I don't want to get into too much spoilers, but he has different views to the other boys, and he just wants to pull his head down and do the time. He blames others for their time in the prison and doesn't really try to accept any of the blame on himself. Interesting things happen with him where you want to see the outcome, and you just hope eventually that he can make the right decisions. Like I said, all boys have a proper comedic value in this show. So now let's move on to the girls. Let's start with the president of the Student Underground Council. She has a very dark tone when she's introduced. She's like fucking a female version of Itachi with the darkness and the crows and the screen turning to midnight. So it's clear they wanted to come across as not the bad guy, but someone you don't want to mess with in the show. And you can tell she's going to be a lot of fucking trouble for these 5 boys. For some reason, she hates the boys more than anyone else, and she wants to drive these boys out of the school by any means necessary. She's feared by the whole school, all the girls in the school. As well as being feared, all the girls in the school want to be her and be with her and work for her. Because, you know, she's the leader of the fucking student council. And in Japan, that's probably a very fucking big thing. Her dad's also the headmaster of the school, or the principal of the school, however you want to call it. And the scenes between her and her dad, oh, they make me laugh so much. They're fucking amazing. So underneath her, she has a vice president. The vice president is the one we see the most. She's the one constantly watching the boys, constantly dishing out punishments, and constantly doing the president's dirty work. The vice president, how shall I put this? She's a lot of ass and tits, that's all I can say. And her punishments and not exactly punishments for the boys. And then the last member of the council is this blonde-headed girl right here, called Hannah. The other one's called Miyako, by the way. The vice president is called Miyako. Hannah is one of my favourite characters in the show because she's all about returning the embarrassment the boys calls her back at them. So let's just say she gets slapped in the face. She wants to slap the boys in the face. Let's just say she gets water spilt over her. She wants to spill water over the boys. And some of the scenes she's in are fucking hilarious. She's by far produces the most comedic value for me. And the student council on a whole, well, there is no show without them and there is no show without the boys. It is a proper funny show. And lastly, and very briefly, the headmaster of the school, which is the leader of the council's dad. He's a low-down, low-key pervert who's ashamed of himself and whose daughter is ashamed of him. For the little screen time he gets compared to everyone else, I'd say 95% of when he's on screen is a fucking joke, and he is comedy gold. And he is one of my favourite characters in the show just because of when he's on screen, you're paying attention to the very subtle, very sly comedy that he's creating. So now in every video I normally give my top 3 characters of the show. But because I've already spent a shitload of time talking about the characters, almost 10 minutes, I'm going to just briefly go over my top 3 very, very quickly. So coming in at number 3, I have Hannah. She's my third favourite because I find the situations she's involved with are the funniest parts to me in the show. So that's why she's number 3. Coming in at number 2, we have the headmaster. The reason I like the headmaster is just because of the subtle jokes that he has going on, just like the mouse pad and etc. So that's why he's number 2. I find him very funny. And coming in at number 1, we have Takahito. I love this character a lot because of the Dynasty Warriors references for number 1, because I've played all the games. And number 2, like just the situation surrounding him and his loyalty and his honour to his friends. So that's my top 3 characters for this video. I'm sorry it's so quick, and I'm sorry that I took so long explaining all the characters for the show, but it is necessary for this video. Now finally, The Rock has gone back. No, I'm joking. Now finally we can move on to the good parts of the show. I just want to say that Prison School is a hard one to say what's good about it for everyone, because a lot of people might not like the ecchi stuff, a lot of people might not find it funny, so it is really my own opinion and your own personal preferences. That being said, let's move on with this shit. So first thing I want to say is do not be put off by the ecchi stuff, do not be put off by the seinen stuff, do not be put off by the tits and ass fan service you're gonna see. For me, this anime was all about the comedy, and I don't think I've laughed so much at anime in ages, if not ever. I know a lot of people like this anime, and I know a lot of people don't like this anime because they don't get the jokes, or it just doesn't appeal to them. But for me, and I think this anime definitely targets like the 18 to sort of late 20 ranges, the pot smokers, the horny little teenage bastards who can actually get a laugh out of this. I remember sitting down and looking over the list of the seasonal anime that was coming out at the time, and I remember seeing this, and it didn't appeal to me at all. I just saw the picture and I saw the PV, and it was only because a good friend of mine recommended it to me that I actually gave it a shot, and it took me like a good 2-3 weeks to give it a shot. My mate kept saying, have you watched it yet? Have you watched it yet? And I'm like, nah, I'll get to it. And when I did get to it, God, I'm so glad I got to it because it's fucking hilarious. So that's point number 1. Just don't be put off by the fan service stuff. Just focus on the comedy because this anime is the funniest anime I've ever watched. Number 2, I think the way they draw the boys in some situations to show facial expressions and to show the emotions and how they feel is really good. I'm not going to fucking say it's the best thing I've ever seen in my life, but it definitely suits the tone of the joke and the tone of the mood of the scene they're trying to set. So point number 2, very good drawing of the expressions and the tone of the mood they're trying to set for this show. It suits it very well. Point number 3, every character in the show has its own sort of gimmick, if you want to call it a gimmick. Some people might not find the scenes with Anna funny like I do, but then they might find scenes, I don't know, let's just say involving the ants way more funnier than I do. So that's another good part of the show, that it has something for everyone. It has a different comedy for everyone, and if you don't like one, you're bound to like another one more. Point number 4, I always enjoy animes where they have to plot a plan and carry out the plan in order to succeed in their goal. You don't know how they're going to do it, and you don't know if it's possible, but you're waiting on suspense to see the outcome of what they're going to do. And when you finally see the outcome to their actions, it just hits you with a surprise every time, and it keeps you on your seat watching and wanting to watch more. And lastly, I just like the concept of the show. It's something I've never watched before. I don't know if there's a lot of animes like this out there. If there is, they haven't certainly caught my attention, and I haven't watched them. And it's just something different from the shonen battle fucking anime everyone's used to watching. And that's good these days to have an anime that's different and out there. It might not suit everyone, but for the people it does suit, it's gonna be one of the best animes they've watched. And also lastly, in the last point, but now this is the last one. I just want to give a quick bonus point to the sheer creativity of this anime. I do not know who the fuck or how the fuck they thought up of these jokes. Someone was high as shit somewhere and was just writing a load of random shit down, and they made it work. So definitely big bonus points for the creativity of the show, because I could not have thought of any of these and pulled it off like they did. Now, with every good, there's always a bad, and now it's time for the bad moments of the show. Like I said in the previous section, it's a hard one to discuss, the bad and good moments, because it might not just suit you, and if it doesn't suit you, that's fine. You just accept that fact, and no need to trash on it if other people like it. So I suppose that's the first bad point. It's not for everybody. Some people might find it fucking stupid and unwatchable, and other people, like myself, might fucking be laughing their asses off at it every fucking scene. Point number 2, and I don't know how true this is because I haven't experienced this myself, but I can imagine this anime not being rewatch worthy. I don't know how much entertainment you're gonna get out of watching this a second time, and it might not be, if at all, funny for the second time you're gonna watch it. Number 3, there's no real explanation as to why these girls have so much power. Why these girls... I mean, where the fuck is this prison? How do they have a prison in the school? How is this acceptable? How is this fucking legal in modern day society? But it's one of them ones where you just take it with a pinch of salt, because it's not about the fucking amazing storytelling. It's about the comedy, and it's about having a laugh. But if you can't understand that and you want explanations to how is this acceptable, then this probably isn't the anime for you. Point number 3, and this is a big one. You definitely do not want to get caught watching this anime by your mom or your dad, or your girlfriend just walks in the room and sees a fucking big ass, big titty girl sitting on someone's face. She's gonna think you're fucked up, and she's not gonna buy any, or he's not gonna buy any explanation as to why you are watching this. If they don't know anime, that is. They're just gonna think you are fucked up. I watched this anime late at night when my girl was in bed, so that's all you need to know. Point number 4, there is a lot of Dynasty Warriors references and jokes to do with one character. If you've never watched or played Dynasty Warriors, you're not gonna fucking have a clue what he's going on about. So that's a quick one, but it is irrelevant. You need to know the game to understand some of the jokes and who Liu Bei and who Guan Yu is. So that's how we like to keep the bad moments short and fucking sweet, and not having a lot of them at all. So now we're nearing the end of the video, which means it's time for my final thoughts and the rating of the show. I don't want to repeat myself too much, so this is going to be a very short one. Point number 1, this is by far, hands down, the funniest anime I have ever watched in my anime fucking career, if you want to call it a career. Point number 2, just give it a shot. There's nothing to lose by watching something new or watching something different. And even giving something a shot which you know you would never watch before. That's what watching anime is all about. Just trying new things, trying different genres, watching different shows, and experience different fucking forms of this art called anime. So what have you got to lose, people? Just give it a go. And trust me, you will enjoy it. So now we move on to the ratings, and before I give my own personal rating, I always like to get my 2 friends' opinions of the show, just so you guys have got some other opinions to choose from rather than just mine. So one of my friends, we're going to call him the 6 Raikage, he put, "Damn, where do I start? It's a good anime, strong narrative, good action, and 10 out of 10 on fan pleasure." My next friend, who goes by the name of Bankai A, he put, "I give it a 9. It does what it set out to do," which I agree with, by the way. It's got a fun and good narrative. And then he put, "Actually, it might be a 10. So he's in between 9 and 10. I think they both feel how I do. It's just fucking funny anime to sit down and watch. And he put, "Damn, That fan service though. So that means Bankai 8 scored it a 9.5 out of 10. The 6, which I forgot to mention, scored it at 8 out of 10. And my own opinion on this show is it's also at 8 out of 10. As always, I'm going to include my anime list rating, which is where thousands of people also score the show on the website, and they gave it an 8.2 out of 10. So as you can see, all scores are consistent. Everyone pretty much has the same comments and thoughts on this show. That's just a funny, good, chill anime to watch. And I think those scores are a solid representation of how most people feel about this anime. So that's it for this video, guys. We're now going to move on to my top moments of the show. So spoilers ahead. If you don't want no spoilers and you've planned to pick up this show, I hope this review helped, I hope this guide helped, and I hope to see you all next time. Peace. Please and please and please and please and. So here are my top moments for Prison School. Coming in at number 3, we have the GOAT, the MVP of the team, with the Guan Yu, the figurine incident, and him sacrificing his one and only goal to get this figurine for the better good of the team. The reason I like this clip so much is because the build up to it and then the payoff at the end, like I was referring to in the guide. They build it up, they build it up, they build it up, and you're like, no, don't sacrifice your own figure. It means so much to him, but in the end he does, and you're shocked. I was shocked when I saw him smash the figure. I was like, no, I didn't know what way he was going to get out of it, because all I knew was that he wanted this figure so much and smashing this figure was not an option. But he did, and that shows he's a team player and he's out for the boys, he's not out for himself, and that's why this clip is number 3. Coming in at number 2, we have the Hannah bed scene. This scene starts off pretty innocent. Hannah enters, my guy's on his bed, she's trying to tussle with him to get a revenge. And the next thing you know, his girl walks in and they need to hide under the bed. Now, when I was watching this, I was like, okay, what's happening next? I did not expect at all what was happening next. I didn't know they was going to push these boundaries. So they're under the bed. I'm thinking, okay. Next thing you know, he gets a fucking boner. I didn't know these boundaries were going to be pushed, and I didn't know this was going to be, the boundaries were going to be entered here. I was shocked, I was surprised, but at the same time I was laughing my fucking arse off at that. Damn, they're really gonna go this route. They're really gonna have they're really gonna have him have a boner and have her under the bed, and then have them both not be able to fucking say a word. Oh my god, I was laughing. And the fact that she passes out as well. Oh my god. But that's why this is number 2, just pure fucking comedy. Now this, number 1, is by far, well, let's just say it had me going. I knew he was about to get a punishment. I knew this punishment was going to be fucked up. But then they switch it round on you. You know this punishment is going to be fucked up. It's going to be some ass or some titties or some whipping. And then you see a draw for the draw. And you see her pull out this blurred object. Now, in my head, I'm thinking dildo. Oh my god, they're gonna fuck him with a dildo. They cannot do that in this anime. They cannot fuck a guy with a dildo. And then you watch, and she does, and I'm like, what? No. And I'm laughing, and I'm laughing. And then next thing you know, it cuts away from that scene, and you just see that it's a fucking shaved head, and they've shaved his head. They had me fooled. I'm here thinking my man's getting batty ready with a dildo. But in reality, they played on their own comedy, which is great. He just had his hair shaved and it fucking fooled the shit out of me. Which is why this is number 1.